Hey guys, and it's been a while. I sort of interrupted this series on Basman's games from the Four Nations Chess League individual rapid event in Daventry 2013, but I want to finish this up. There's a couple more games to look at. This is presumably his fifth round game, although looking at the database and the score table indicates that the rounds might not be in the proper order as I've recorded them. Anyway, I'm just going to continue rather than renumber everything. We'll assume this is the fifth round game, and I think it actually is the fifth round game. So some of the other rounds may not be accurate. Okay, so let's get right to it. So he's playing black against Robert Thompson, who's rated 1962. So considerable rating difference, but as we know from Basman's opening choices, he's essentially gambits his position, so these lower rated players have a chance. So let's see what happens in this game. His opponent opens up with knight to f3. Basman characteristically replies with this strange b5. I guess this might be the ready Polish opening. Don't know. g3, bishop to b7, bishop to g2, and now a typical Basman move, g5. It's actually not a bad move, but it does loosen the king side. And of course, since he's played b5, he's loosened both the king side and the queen side. But one of the most popular opening structures he adopts these days is the creepy-crawly, which involves a pawn structure of a6 and b5, h6 and g5. And he often likes to keep his king in the center. All right, so let's go on. h3. Of course, before h3, he was threatening to win a piece with g4. So white has no choice here. Bishop to g7. And I guess it's now the ready Polish Borg, although I'm sure Basman thinks of this as being the creepy-crawly. c3, h6. White's making sensible moves and is absolutely fine here. d3, e6, a4. This is a good move, and this breaks up the black queenside configuration and exposes the weaknesses a little bit more. B takes e4, and now after queen takes a4, I would say that white has got a small advantage in this position. We've got a weakness on a7. He's got the open rook file. Black has an open b file, but really he can't do anything with it right now. And in fact, the bishop on b7 could be a target in some lines after queen b3 or something like that. And he's got the problem of where to put his king. He could keep it in the center. If he goes to the king's wing, then his pawns are a little loose over there. So anyway, let's see what happened. Knight to e7. Both sides just continuing their development. Bishop to e3 is targeting the weakness on a7. In case you were wondering, white could not win a pawn with bishop takes a7, even though he's got three attackers and there's only one defender because of the subsequent pin that would happen. You would get bishop takes f3, bishop takes f3, knight b c6, bishop takes c6, knight takes c6, and we're just going to pick up that bishop. So his opponent spotted that, so after Basman castled, he also castled. And now, knight to f5 was probably a good move in this position, but he plays f5. Now remember on one of his old tapes, actually I think he's mentioned this more than once, that he loves the move f5, Basman that is, and he always looks for an opportunity to play it. And so he could have played knight to f5 here, I'm sure he looked at that, but f5 is actually okay. His opponent has the edge here because the queenside weaknesses, and he had a safer king, but now he plays h4, and this is really kind of unnecessary. All he has to do is hold his position, get his pieces out, and slowly hammer away at the black weaknesses, and I think white would do just fine. But he plays this h4 move, and now his king is going to be not quite so safe. So black's got some compensation here, even though he's got these weaknesses. He does have fairly active pieces, so it's not all doom and gloom for black at all. And Basman loves these positions. This is not an unusual position for him at all. Okay, so f4 is an excellent move. Basman is a real scrapper, got to say that, and he loves to play aggressively even when it's not necessarily warranted. Okay, bishop to d4. Didn't like the look of taking on f4 and possibly suffering an incursion of the black pieces. I'm not sure how dangerous that was, but probably he made the right decision here. And now, bishop to c6. Good move. As you see why in a second. And now, actually, black is a little bit better here. According to Ribka, that is. Queen to b3. And now g4. Now black has the initiative. It's actually better. So this h4 move was not the way to go. So knight to e5. And we take on g2. King takes back. And now Basman played a decent move, but he missed a winning chance here. So this is your chance to spot the move. It's not terribly hard to find. Now keep in mind that this time limit was 10 minutes and 10 seconds, so there's not a lot of time for reflection on a complex position. What he should have played was the nice move c5. And of course, if bishop takes c5, then we simply win the knight on e5. He apparently missed this after after king takes g2. He played bishop takes e5. He's still retaining something of a little bit of an advantage. Bishop takes e5, f3 check, e takes f3, and of course you might want to take with the rook, but if in the event of rook takes f3, white had the unfortunate queen to c4, and that's hitting the pawn on g4 as well as attacking c7. So after e takes f3, g takes f3. King to h2, knight to b6, d4, knight to g6, knight to d2. The black is still a bit better here. And now Basman plays knight to h4, another scrappy move. There's actually nothing wrong with this move. He could have gone for probably just easy equality after knight e5, d takes e5, and knight takes e5, and he's just fine here. You know, knight is coming into g4 may cause some problems. Who knows what can occur from this position. So anyway, after white played knight to d2, he plays knight takes h4 instead. And of course this knight cannot be taken. If he plays g takes h4, queen takes h4, king to g1, knight takes e5, knight to e4, protecting the g3 square. But of course he's giving up a piece here at the very least. But queen to h3, and now it's just going to be checkmate. So black has to do things like this: queen to e6, d takes e6, knight to f6 check. Just trying to delay. This is obviously a computer line, and finishing up with queen to g2 mate. So his opponent obviously saw this. So after knight takes h4, he plays rook to h1. And now black just goes back, having won a pawn. And he's actually, well, I wouldn't say he's winning here, but he's in definitely in good shape with the extra pawn. White played rook a to e1, and rook to f5, queen to c2, knight g takes e5, d takes e5, and queen to f8. Now this move is okay, but probably queen to g5 was probably stronger, threatening to come in on the h-file perhaps. After d takes e5, if black had wanted to take this pawn, he would have gotten into some trouble here. After knight takes e5, rook takes e5, rook takes e5, and queen to g6, and I think that white probably has a winning attack here after something like king to f8, queen to h6 check, king to f7, queen to h7, king to f6, and now after king to g1, things don't look so rosy, even though he's up a pawn and an exchange here. I think that white is probably winning this position. Okay, but none of this happened. After 24, d takes e5. Basman played queen to f8. The game continued. Knight c4, protecting his pawn. Queen to g7, putting a little more pressure on it. King to g1, it's a good move, clearing the line for the rook. Rook a to f8. Queen to d2, rook to g5, rook to h3. Perhaps there was some sort of threat there. Rook takes g3. Rook f to f5. Queen to d3. Knight takes e5. And he's won another pawn. Knight takes e5. Rook takes e5. Rook takes e5. Queen takes e5. Now black is 2 pawns up and has some play, but his king is a little bit exposed here, but he should probably be fine. Queen takes f3. Well, now he's only 1 pawn up. King to g7. Rook to h4. d5. King to g2. c5. Rook to f4. Rook to f5. g4 check. King to f7. Rook to a4. Hitting on the a pawn. And now, don't know what Basman was thinking here. He throws away his advantage by playing a5. He should have probably played queen to c7. Why give up a pawn when you can hang on to it? a5, just throwing a pawn away for no compensation that I can see. Rook takes a5. And now, really kind of a bad decision from Basman. He plays queen to e4. What he should have played is probably after rook takes a5, he should have played c4. It was a little safer. But after rook takes a5, he played queen to e4. And of course, white jumped at the chance to exchange queens and weaken his pawns even further. So queen takes e4, d takes e4. And now white had a very strong move here. He could have played b4 because, say, after c takes b4, exchange rooks, e takes e5, c takes b4. This king and pawn endgame is really probably winning for white after something like king to f6, king to h3, king to e6, king to h4, king to d5, king to h5, and he's got the outside pass pawn. We won't go look at any further. That I'm pretty sure that's a win for white. So anyway, white had his chance. Instead, he went for, after d takes e4, instead of b4, he played rook to a7 check. And now it's just a rook and pawn endgame. And we just head for a draw. Rook to h7, king to g6, rook to b7, rook to d5, b4. It's a little too late now. The rooks are still on the board. This is much better with the rooks on the board. C takes b4, rook to d2, king to f1, king to f5, rook to h7, king to g5, b5, rook to b2, rook to b7, h5, b6, e3, f takes e3, king to g4, rook to g7 check, king to f3, rook to f7, king takes g3, b7, h4, g7 check, knight to king to f3, king to g1, h3, rook to h7, king to g4, rook to g7 check. Incidentally, the computer just assesses all the play that I just ran through as just being a draw. And now we're going to reach a book draw in just a second. Rook to h7, king to g4, rook to g7 check, king to f3, rook to h7, king takes e3, rook takes h3, and we've reached a table-based position that's a draw after king to d4, king to h1. So they agreed to draw, and that was the right thing to do. So not the world's greatest game, but of course, keep in mind the time setup, and you can see that even though Black's opening was a bit crazy, there are some aggressive ideas behind it. So we have 2 more games to go in this tournament. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.